Alright, let's see what we have. Record this video. That's number 1 on the list. Number 2, start writing the goddamn script for Damnation. Now we're going to put that one on a back burner for now still. When is Judgment going to be getting going? That one's going to take a while, and I don't know why my grammar's so off. Oh! I guess we are doing a video today. We're covering Dushin. You know, it's not that talked about. I think it's only mentioned a few times. There's only one story that's ever in it. I won't judge you. I won't hold it against you if you just leave. If you just head on out on this one. Because this one, I mean, we'll go over stuff. You know, we'll talk about everything going on. You know, the Emulsion field raids that happened. 2 characters that were introduced. We had no clue where they came from. And they're dead. Spoiler. But yeah, there's not much to go over on this one. I mean, we can. You're already here. And you just got through that. So we might as well do it. Just know we're not going to have much to go over. This is going to be a short one. I won't lie to you. Like, I'm going to try for under 10 minutes, but that's probably not going to happen. I like to talk. All right, let's go over Dushin. So, Dushin is a COG territory, and it is borderlined with the UIR territories. Now, we don't know exactly where on the map, because, again, we have no clue what the map looks like. If you're starting to see the trend here, that means I'm getting everything across correctly. No map. I'm trying to lay it out to the best of that imagination can give you. So, Dushin is pretty much a desert region. Now, it's stated to be that on the wiki. I remember going through it, it looked more barren, and again, it's never stated where the desert on SERA is. This big old desert that we can never find. But if there had to be an area, it might be Dushin. The only issue is that Dushin is shown to at least have some things growing there. People are able to stay there. People are able to live there instead of this giant barren desert we've been told about. So I don't want to say it's in Dushin. It could be in the... I think it might be in the UIR territory, but we're never told. But yeah, Dushin is pretty much just empty space, nothing going on for the majority of the country. It's pretty much like the northern area above the deserts in Africa. If I had to put where it would be, like with the South Islands, you had like New Zealand, you had Samoa. This would probably be the upper portion of Africa, you could say it is. Now, since that's how Dushin is laid out, the one thing that it's very heavily used for and that it's abundant in is Emulsion. So they have these huge Emulsion fields where they just start pulling it out right from the ground. In the comics, it actually shows just constant pipes are just running into this place from all over, within miles and upon miles of a radius, probably. So, the issue is with them having all the Emulsion, and this happening during the Pendulum Wars, it just so happens the UIR also need Emulsion. So, UIR, COG, over Dushin, it is a bloodbath of a battle constantly. Not as bad as what Asphiel Fields ended up being, but there are constant raids. Middle of the night, there are bombs being set, explosions are going off, and 2 characters we are introduced to do end up dying in this story. One of them that's a commander, or a corporal. He's a corporal, not a commander. And the other one just being a private that also came out of boot camp and ended up being the first to meet and join up with Carlos Santiago and Marcus Phoenix. So the first time we ever get introduced to the area of Dushin is when we end up seeing 75 years into the Pendulum Wars. Now during this time is when Dushin is a full territory of the COG. They already have Emulsion set up and running. They're already set next to the UIR, and the raids are already happening back and forth because of the claims that were made by the UIR that the COG territory of Dushin was actually running their pipes underground into UIR territory and siphoning it away from over there. Now, it's never stated if that's true or not. It's never said if they actually were. It's just said this is what it's stated and this is why we're having our issue. I would like to believe because the COG and the UIR, none of them, or neither of them, which if you're a grammar Nazi, I apologize, none of them are really the good guys. No one's really good in the story. So I could easily see the COG running their pipes under and stealing it, and the UIR retaliating. Then again, the UIR could also be making those claims just so they can run on over and start attacking their emulsion, because either A, they take out the emulsion field altogether, and there's no emulsion for the COG in a certain area, or they're able to take control of it, and they can start bringing it over to the UIR side. So either side that's right or wrong, it doesn't really matter, because what the COG end up doing because of these raids, they call in the 26th Tyrian, let me see if I can, the Royal Tyrian Infantry, which is just a group of soldiers that are thrown around, and it just so happens it's considered to be the deadliest unit that they have in the COG. Now, it's not officially claimed that, it's just you have characters like Marcus, Bernie, you have Kennen, you have Carlos and Dom. Dom later on joins, he isn't a part of it at this point. You have Helena Stroud that's just leading these guys. It's considered to be the group you send in if you plan on getting things done. And they just so happen to send them into Dushin. And the 26th don't mess around. They take care of the problem, but it takes a few weeks. Now, I should probably mention right now that the name of the fields are the Axe to Emulsion fields, which is the actual name that's given to them. And I am amazed if I actually pulled it off right. If anyone knows how it's actually spoken, like, give me a shout out if I did it right, because that's a pat on the back I would like to give myself. So when they send the 26th in, it does take a few weeks, up to a month. And we end up learning of 2 new characters that are introduced up to this point. Actually, I believe it's 3 if you count Kennen, but I don't know if Kennen's introduced here for the first time or if it's the Asfiel Field story, and I think he's mentioned in the books too, but I could be wrong. Now, the 2 characters we end up meeting are Corporal Maxon and Private Quinn. Both of them are sent through with the 26th RTI, and that just so happens to be the same group as Marcus, Bernie, and all of them, like I said. But this is when the group was sent out. This was Marcus's first time, Carlos's first time, and Quinn's first time, all 3 of them coming out of boot camp, and their first time being deployed anywhere is to Dushin. And Dushin, as I've stated, is nothing but pipelines and empty barren land. So it's pretty easy for someone to spot someone else and let off some shots. Now, the first person we should talk about is probably Corporal Maxon, because Maxon's duty when he was first brought there, he was told, I believe it was either Bernie or Kennen told him, your job is going to be to watch over Marcus, Carlos, and Quinn. They're new, fresh out of boot camp, and they need someone experienced to show them what to do and to lead the way. So during night patrols 2 days after deployment, Quinn is the one that goes out with them, and he has to show them the ropes, show them what it's going to be like patrolling, and he's one of the only people that actually notice something's going on. Something's in the distance, in the shadowy area of the pipelines, there's movement. So, as a leader, he leads them, brings his hand up, come on guys, and they go forward. And it ends up as a major firefight. The bombs are seen, I believe a few end up going off, and it's just back and forth between the 2 sides. And Quinn, not Quinn, we'll get to Quinn soon. It turns out Maxon actually gets nicked right into the neck. Now, he's still alive, and that's when Marcus and Carlos are up there trying to put pressure onto his neck to stop him from bleeding. The issue is that it's a serious neck wound, and there's nothing stopping it. Quinn actually goes and gets help, but before anyone's able to help him, Quinn sees that Maxton has pretty much died right there. Either Quinn sees it or Marcus sees that Maxon is dead. He's passed on from a severe neck wound and no one could help. Jumping a week past that point, we cut to when Marcus, Quinn, and Carlos are all 3 walking along the pipes doing a basic patrol. At this point, the raids are starting to dim down a bit, but they're still going on, and they hear something going on, so Quinn actually gets on top of one of the pipes to see what the sound that they heard came from. The issue is that Quinn's head is right above the pipes along with half of his body, and before he can even finish a sentence he's talking to Marcus about what he got in the mail from his mother, a bullet cleans up, gets him in the temple, and he goes down. He is dead. And the problem is, this affects Marcus really badly, because this is Marcus's first deployment. Quinn was bad too, because he experienced, not Quinn, Maxon, I don't know why I keep getting them mixed up. He experienced Maxon's death, and Maxon was a trained gear. He was a corporal. So Marcus experienced what death was in the army. That affected him to the point he understood this is some serious stuff going on. Quinn, however, was fresh out of boot camp just like him and Carlos. Quinn was just like them. Quinn's dead within a week or 2 weeks of deployment. That severely messes with Marcus, because Marcus has no clue how to take it. It's like, this was a friend I knew. You know, it wasn't a heavy friend, probably from a different boot camp, came with us to the 26th that was deployed. We knew this guy. We talked to him. We shared life stories. He's gone. I'm just as experienced as him right now. I'm new. I'm Greenhorn. I could have been dead right now. That could have been me. And obviously, he's sitting there in the barracks with his hand on his head. That's when Kenan comes over, I believe the same rank as Bernie was at the time, and says, "Are you going to be okay, Marcus?" And Marcus is like, "I'll be okay, but that could have been me." And later on, he actually calls his father. He gets Adam on the phone, and he's like, "Hey, Dad." And him and Adam don't have the best relationship. No hatred, just it's a very awkward conversation to him constantly. And he says, "Hey, Dad, you know, I'm doing good. Things are fine, but, like, we lost men." And Adam kind of understands at that point because, you know, my son just experienced his men dying. And at this point, I believe Marcus is still just a private. He has no control over the say of what's going to happen. So anytime he can be commanded to do what Quinn did. Quinn wasn't told to do it, but Quinn went up there on his own behalf. If Marcus was told go up and scout, that could have been Marcus. And I think that's kind of what made Marcus feel like, when I get in charge of a group of people, I need to understand their safety is also something I need to watch out for, not just my objective or taking out the enemy. So that's pretty much those two guys. I mean, Maxon and Quinn, I mean, for as long as we knew them, they were pretty nice. But, I mean, you know, Quinn, he didn't hate watching over them. He was fine. He didn't have an asshole attitude. He was decent. Quinn became a friend of Marcus and Carlos. I mean, it's just, I wish we could have got more of them. But when it comes to the Gear stories, especially the comics, some named characters are killed off just like that. Because, I mean, they depicted in Gears, war is war. These people you might just know for a while are dead. You know, that's just how it goes in Gears. And I do like that, because it does get the impression, like, if they have a name, don't think that they're just going to be safe. But again, like, Quinn, I would have loved to have had more story. Maxon, I'm okay with, but Quinn, you know, like, what was it like when they were hanging out in the barracks together, just talking back to back? How much did they know of each other? Did they come from the same boot camp? Because it's never said if they are. It's stated that they came from boot camp, but I don't think it's ever said if they came from the same boot camp. And again, you know, Marcus and Carlos just entered into the military. They just got done with boot camp. Dom is still at home. He hasn't even joined yet. Or he might have, but he's still in boot camp. You know, him and Maria are still doing their thing. I mean, young Marcus looks hilariously young, too. Just a bald baby face. I mean, take a look. But yeah, I think that's all there is in Dushin. I mean, like I said, there's not much. Dushin, we don't know the size of. We're only told of this one area, and we have no clue of anything else in the area. There's nothing ever else that happens. You know, a side story that involves Hoffman and when he goes out with the Pensangs. I don't remember which country, but it's definitely not Dushin. Because when I looked this up, the only thing that happened in Dushin were these Imulsion fields. Nothing else. I guess I can go into what happens later on. I mean, later on, the sabotaging and raiding does end up stopping. They do fix the damage from the bombs that go off, and it does stay under COG control until the end of the war. And this happens, I believe, 2 years before Asphalt Fields, and I think 3 years before the end of the war. So Marcus wasn't in the Pendulum Wars long. This happened fairly to the end. Helena's still alive. That's Anya's mother, who's leading all of this. She's still going. You know, Bernie still has, you know, her hair's black or brown. You know, she hasn't started to gray yet. She's still somewhat young, I believe in her 30s. Yeah, I mean, you know, Bernie was there, Kenan was there, all those guys were there. I don't believe Ty was there, but for the 26th, you know, they were there. And again, I'm probably going to make a detailed video about Kenan. The 26th is definitely getting a video. They're the most iconic group in all of Gears of War when it comes to a squad, aside from Delta. Yeah, that's Dushin. I mean, if you excuse me, I'm gonna get back to making a schedule on my phone for what's coming next. I mean, my schedule really thinks I'm gonna get to Damnation and Judgment right away by next week. Let's keep going with SERA. Not because I'm still waiting for something in the mail or I haven't written the other script yet. Please. We're professionals around here.